Hollow Knight versus Silksong. Yeah, I know they're both technically Hollow Knight, but you know what I mean. Silksong is the very much anticipated sequel to Hollow Knight, and I mean very much anticipated, like in the 7 years this game took to come out. I'm pretty sure the fans were losing their minds. It's finally out now though, and I finished my Hollow Knight playthrough and have been working my way through Silksong to make this video. Now, the games are obviously very similar, somewhat. It's a sequel. No shit, it's similar, but there is a lot of aspects in Silksong that it looks like the devs have taken time to change/improve upon, and that's kind of what I'm here to talk about today. Looking back at what was done in Hollow Knight and comparing it to what was done in the new flashy second title. Quick disclaimer, there's gonna be a couple of these. Before we start, I have not beaten Silksong. I'm currently about halfway through the second act of making this video, but I think that's plenty to talk about the points in this video, and I will be making another video covering the full game and my playthrough. Besides all of that, if you enjoy the video, you know the drill by now. I know how much time you spend procrastinating on YouTube. Drop a like, please and thank you. I will personally give you a firm handshake upon request, and subscribe if you don't mind. I'm almost at the big 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome, and would love to hit the funny milestone that tickles my brain. Here are the 3 top comments from my last video. I really appreciate the interactions with small channels. I know it can be very scary to look into an empty comment section and be the first to say something, but it's much appreciated. Anywho, within these sections, I will try my best to pick one game over the other so I don't end up using my ultimate rage bait technique, the fence sitter. But these games are both great, so bear with me here, and let's get started by talking about the combat. To start us off, let's go back and look at Hollow Knight's combat. It's a pretty standard formula with your basic attacks, special moves, and spells. The spells are powerful with different effects, but eat through your soul, which is what you use to heal. I kept it brief because people watching are probably better than me with all of these tools. Nerds. The combat in Hollow Knight is really addicting because of the crazy tempo you can do with your bouncing basic attacks that recharge your soul for more spells and overall DPS. And whenever you mess up, you can always use soul to heal instead. Awesome flow with enough difficulty to make it engaging. Now, as for Silksong, it feels kind of misleading. Don't click off, let me explain. This is not a bad thing. Speaking from my own experience, I went in expecting the combat to be very similar to Hollow Knight, and on the surface, it is. You have basic attacks, you have bouncy combat, you have thread for special moves, which act similar to the soul from the first game. But then once I got further into the game, I realized that it's more foreign than expected. A big form of combat in Hollow Knight is basic pogoing off of enemies, and we've all done it. And while yes, you can do this in Silksong, it is a lot more difficult, or maybe I just have a skill issue. This will change based on the moveset you have, based on your crests, but overall, I just don't think it's as easy, which is hard to adjust to, especially when you're fresh off of a Hollow Knight playthrough, like someone I know. Idiot. With his lack of one direct tool for damage, it almost feels like you are much more encouraged to use your specials and tools, which is so much fun. In Hollow Knight, the spells are a lot more of a, you can use them, but you don't have to. I went through a lot of my playthrough using them more situationally than regularly. Astral Spiff, a much larger creator, made a Coliseum video, and in that video, he mentioned that he never used spells in his main playthrough. So it's not just me, and I feel like it's quite the common trope. And I know the really big Hollow Knight players spam them like there's no tomorrow. But with the cost of your soul points that you need for your healing, it makes you feel a lot more unsafe in combat. But in Silksong, your full thread heals for 3 masks rather than 1 at a time per whatever, I don't know, a third of your soul. Maybe I'm just pulling this out of my ass. But it feels as if the tools and specials are much more accessible in the combat in this game, and that changes up the combat quite a lot. The tools have a smaller impact, but you can spam them and they help a lot in general exploration. These tools are very versatile as well, because you can use different types for different situations that hold different amounts of each tool. For example, there's a throwing dagger that you can stack like 12 of for quick long-range damage, and there's a barb trap that you can use instead that can only hold like 6 or 7, but they stab multiple times when an enemy walks into them. The combat in Silksong keeps up with the super fast pace of Hollow Knight's combat with a very different approach. I truly love how it plays in both games, and they both do a great job, but personally I think I do prefer Silksong's combat a bit more as of right now. What's an even more important aspect of these games? Well, the grubs, of course! Nothing beats the grubbies. They make funny noises, but the new fleas are cool and cute as well. But the grubs, they're my boys. Dap me up. In reality, back to the boring video, I want to look at the areas. Now, gonna be 110% real with you guys here, I don't think I can pick which game has better areas. Areas in both games are miles ahead of pretty much any other game on the market right now. The atmosphere is incredible and suits each and every environment due to the amazing lighting, sound, music, funny noises.
Oh, get off here!
The two-dimensional areas in this game feel like they have so much depth because the multi-layering on the backgrounds is insane. There's so much effort put into here. The lava section in Act 1 of Silksong especially wowed me. I think both games have great standout areas, like the City of Tears in Hollow Knight is one of my favorite areas in video games, full stop, that's it, it's one of my favorites, and the Citadel of Song is massive and extravagant in Silksong. Beautiful place to explore. Okay, maybe I'm biased towards the big fancy areas, but anyways, moral of the story, I can't choose, but I do want to point out the areas feel much more alive in Hollow Knight. Not saying that they don't feel alive in Silksong, but Hollow Knight just does an amazing job of bringing the areas to life. But the areas look stunning in Silksong, like absolutely beautiful. There is so much detail here. This could change though, as I'm not finished Silksong. Self-plug time, I made a full video on Hollow Knight if you couldn't guess already, where I reviewed all the areas. You should go watch it, or else, I don't really have a joke here. You. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. That was mean. Moving on again. Huge aspect of these games, the questing. Another disclaimer, wow, surprise, for these in an opinion video, I have a very broad definition of questing, or at least I think I do. As for questing, anything that has a start with an NPC or within the main story has some sort of reward is a quest to me. For example, finding and curing Sly and spending all your money at his shop is a side quest to me. If you disagree, well, womp womp, you can go cry river. Now in Hollow Knight, the quests are a bit different because nothing is really put directly in your face. You roam around and find things to interact with and progress the story in doing so and meeting new characters. This has its pros and its cons. The pros is it gives the game a sort of open world feel in a linear environment. Roaming around the Hollow Nest and bumping into fun NPCs like Sly and Zote is a huge reason why I found this game fun. Eventually, you'll break a wall, find a secret room, and unlock new charms in doing so as well. You're more encouraged to just explore and look around. You are still given a map, of course, and another fun thing to do is wander into a new area and search every crevice to try and locate the whimsical corner, which feels like a quest in itself. This creates a really fun gameplay loop, but of course, there are some cons to this approach, especially for me. Now, let me just state, some of you may not agree with these cons, and if you still want to come at me in the comment section, be my guest. Engagement farming is my favorite pastime. Hollow Knight doesn't give you any sense of direction aside from what the Elder says sometimes back in Dirtmouth. This makes people like, haha, me personally, really struggle at certain points of the game because I'm sitting there saying, where in the sweet do I go? Especially on my first and second playthrough that I quit halfway through. It was partially because I just didn't have a clue on how to do things like getting major items like the Isma's Tear or finding the resting grounds and obtaining the Dream Nail. There's also so much that I missed simply because I just didn't run into it. I almost skipped the entirety of the Colosseum and Zote, which are very awesome parts of the game. I think my point is across by now. So let's talk about Silksong's questing, which is super straightforward because there is an actual quest system in place with points of interest on your map for the main story, which helps so much to people like myself who are navigationally challenged. And I cannot stress this enough how bad I am. If you put me on a straight line, I will end up where I started. And I'm not joking. It's bad. Anyways, enough of that tangent. There is side quests, main quests, job boards, the whole shebang. I felt really old saying that. Did I sound old? What am I saying? I'm talking to my future self who's editing, who's even older now. Anyways, yes, side quests throughout random parts of Silksong, you'll run into NPCs just like in Hollow Knight that ask for tasks and give rewards, except in this game, it gives you a direct marker and a little progress bar in your menu, and it's so much more convenient. Some of them even show you the reward, but I think that's mostly job boards. Actually, I don't remember if that's true. Don't check it. Just believe me, I'm the YouTube guy. Me getting sidetracked makes a lot of sense for this section. Job boards are a very fun mechanic that I think Hollow Knight was really missing. It's a quick, simple way of doing quests and wasting time and getting rewards. I spent like a solid hour just doing different quests for one of the towns when I was supposed to be progressing the game for this video. Amazing addition to the game. Sure, with the linear quest progression in the game, there's no mystery of wandering around to find the main objective, but there's still a little bit of mystery with general side quests that you just find along the way. So Silksong takes the W here. Okay, next up on my very massive and awesome list. There's only one more section after this. Shut up, voices! This is the enemy section. I'm also including bosses here because I think it's quite fitting, and I don't have a crazy amount to say about the enemies. Hollow Knight's enemies were a lot of fun. They had a lot of character to them, and I recognize a lot of them very quickly when shown a picture, whether for better or for worse. The enemies in Silksong are recognizable too, but honestly, I don't know if it's because I have a lot more time in Hollow Knight, but they don't quite stand out as much to me. Don't get me wrong, both games have great enemies, and I do think Silksong's enemy designs are a bit fancier to say the least, but I do think I still prefer the enemies in Hollow Knight. This take is fully just by feel, can't lie. No science here. The enemies are just so memorable with their funky sounds and simple designs. Can't beat the classics sometimes. But that might be different when it comes to the bosses. Hollow Knight bosses, for the most part, feel like a side treat. They're nice, a tasty snack along the way to break up the pace. Now, there are some exceptions to this, like Zote and God himself, but Silksong really stepped up the game a notch when it comes to the boss fights. The boss fights in this game actually take multiple attempts to fight, or at least they did for me. With higher general damage and fun and interesting movesets, Silksong scratches my Souls-like itch. No, I'm not saying this is a Souls-like, I'm saying I actually had to spend time learning and trying multiple times on some bosses. There were bosses like this in Hollow Knight, but it feels like almost every boss so far in Silksong has been like this. I'm not trying to name drop in this video to save it for the full review, but the Last Judge is such an immaculate fight, especially as the last fight of Act 1. It truly felt like a solid boss battle. Multiple phases, great attack patterns, great spectacle, chef's kiss. Mwah. Oh, and by the way, there was some controversy here about the run back, and I don't know if they patched it, but I didn't find it that bad. A relatively safe run back that takes like 30 seconds. Pretty good in my books. Alright, Silksong takes bosses and Hollow Knight takes enemies. Now, onto my last section, the miscellaneous shit that I don't have a full section for. Neither game is gonna get points for this section, so if you were keeping track, Silksong did take more points, but my opinions changed like the weather, so don't take that too serious. And let's be honest, is Silksong really better when Hornet doesn't even say the funny thing anymore? Oh, it's because she's older and more mature now, so she can't say Shaw. No! Make her say the thing! If I can't get this picture of Hornet with the shoes out of my head, why is anyone else allowed to? Next up, I really like how Hornet actually talks to the NPCs in this game. I really like the dialogue. The dialogue was good in Hollow Knight, and I wouldn't ever change how it works, but having Hornet talk back to the characters is a really nice feeling, and would have been kind of awkward if we seen Hornet talk in the first game, and she just didn't reply in the second game. Gives you a real sense of her personality and character overall. Speaking of which, the NPCs in both games are amazing. I love the NPCs in Hollow Knight. They're very simple and they are all very memorable. Well, almost all of them. And so far in Silksong, it looks like it's going to be the same way. I love this little Bell kid. He's funny, you find him throughout the entire game, and any appearance is always enjoyable. Alrighty, one more thing to end off this video. The parkour. Any sort of platforming section in both games is really enjoyable, honestly. Note, I have not done the Path of Pain in Hollow Knight yet. Hollow Knight has a lot of fast wall hopping and super quick pogoing, and that's the same in Silksong as well, which is awesome to see. But it feels a bit different with Hollow Knight having things like the Crystal Heart and simple up and down pogoing, while Silksong has sprint jumps and diagonal pogoing. Both games really fun, and just had to throw this segment in to talk about it because it's awesome. And that is all for this video. Again, to clarify, both games are phenomenal, and I think Silksong is an amazing sequel. I don't really want to put one is better than the other, but so far I think Silksong is a bit more modernized, and it's a really damn good game. But if you were to make an argument saying Hollow Knight is better, I absolutely cannot fault you for it. Silksong is a great game. It had some controversy on launch, but I feel like in any game with this much hype would have had at least a little bit of controversy. I'll be making a full review video on Silksong soon, just depends on when I finish the game, so keep an eye out for that. Might make the Hades 2 video that I have planned first, but we will see what happens. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.